Hello.
Hey guys, thanks for turning into Straight to the Core, an in-depth, no-nonsense look into all things physical therapy, wellness, and the business of being healthy. We are your hosts. I'm Claire. I am Mark's wife.
I am Mark. I am Claire's husband.
And today,
We're going to rant
about
our trip well, not just our trip, but Las Vegas in general.
Las Vegas I guess Las Vegas is kind of the
catalyst, but there'll be more to the story.
The side of the times. So coming back from our summer hiatus, I know 4 of you missed us.
We have like 40 people. We have 400 downloads.
Yeah. Yay!
Not bad. And over 800 views on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Look at that.
I'll take that.
Would you look at that?
Yeah, just a couple of young people in the office.
And 4 of those people noticed that we went to a cycle without posting.
Yes, we did, but we're back.
Yeah, that was because we were in Las Vegas for a quick little Labor Day trip.
And we go often during this Labor Day weekend, so this is not a new thing for us. And when we are complaining about things, they're relative to the same time every year that we go.
Yes.
So it's not new.
There's been years that we've gone at other times of the year, but we do often go during the Labor Day weekend.
Probably 6-7 times in the last 8 years.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we're relatively experts at Labor Day travel to Las Vegas.
Now, it should be noted, if you've been in the clinic, and Mark and I have talked about this, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I would not have struck you as gamblers," but we don't actually gamble. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that if I'm going to be irresponsible with $1,000, I'm going to go shopping and not throw it on a craps table. I don't think there's anything wrong with gambling, but our view of Vegas is that we shop, we pool,
we people watch,
yes,
we eat,
we drink, we eat. And that's where things have started changing, in our opinion, that we've noticed. And then on the flight back, we were talking about how it's just different now than what it used to be. And obviously, there's the whole obviously it's different after the pandemic. But then there were also kind of parallels that we noticed of things here in Omaha that we were like, oh yeah, that didn't used to be that way.
And we'll start right away with the price of things.
Yeah.
Drinks.
Yeah, so...
Drink prices.
There was a morning that I made a bad decision. And it started off with just going to get Starbucks instead of walking across the street. Normally we get McDonald's, the one time a year that I eat McDonald's because I'm going to eat myself a McGriddle.
Well, a little farther away because we stayed at the Cosmopolitan.
We stayed at a different place this year. But normally, you can get, I think it's $1, maybe $1.50 for a coffee at McDonald's in Omaha and probably across most of the nation.
And it's similar in Vegas. It's not that much more.
Yeah, it's $3, right? But it's still not the price of Starbucks. So we started off the morning by making the bad decision of going to Starbucks. We just didn't want to walk that far. And so 2 breakfast sandwiches, an egg bite, a nitro cold brew for myself, and a hot coffee for Mark.
A regular coffee.
Right.
Black.
Was $40 some odd dollars.
Yeah. Did you tip?
No, I didn't in Vegas. No.
No. You don't tip your baristas generally. They don't make servers' wages.
No, which I probably should. Now I feel guilty about that even here in Omaha. But that was the start, right? So then we sit down. If you know us personally in real life, you know that we're F1 fans. And so we sat down to watch qualifying for the Formula One race.
7 a.m.
Yes.
Sportsbook is not open.
It opens at 7.
Yeah, well.
So we were up and decided to sit in the sportsbook area, not gambling, just sitting there. And I trotted off in my very obvious daytime outfit. And I stood next to 5 or 6 people who were in their very obvious still nighttime outfits. And I ordered 2 shots of Bailey's and 2 shots of vanilla vodka for said coffees. And I don't really want to tell Mark what the price of that was.
Well, you didn't want to tell me at all.
Correct. But let's just say it was basically twice the price of what we had just paid for Starbucks. No, don't get me wrong. I clutched onto this iced coffee full of Bailey's and vanilla vodka for quite a bit that morning.
I mean, it was really good, but I'm not sure it was this was a $60 coffee.
In the snap of a finger, now all of a sudden we've spent upwards of $120 for breakfast and coffee.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend $120 for breakfast, I kind of expect an endless mimosa or some sort of deal like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But that didn't used to be Vegas, right? You could go and do that in Vegas with the high rollers
or
and
you
all
could
of that.
get a deal in Vegas.
Right.
Now everything is so exorbitantly overpriced. It's really incredible. And I've noticed, the homeless population's obviously gone up considerably in the last 3 or 4 years, probably.
Right. Now, what struck me, and I think this is the parallel that we made to what we see here in Omaha, is that as we've done better in business and we've had a little bit more disposable income, we changed where we stayed. We used to stay at Caesars all the time. And I still like Caesars. And I think it was just the last time we stayed there, just the clientele maybe was a bit different, a little more anxious to get into a fight maybe. And so we just decided to upscale a little bit. And the last 2 years we've stayed at the Cosmopolitan. Slightly different spot on the Strip, slightly different price point, I guess, for staying. But what struck me as somebody who I think works very, very hard for my spending money, right? My play money comes at the cost of us working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, not because I'm just all of a sudden more willing to spend that money, right? But what struck me is the amount of young people who are okay with spending $40 at Starbucks or $80 by buying 4 shots at the bar.
Yeah, you go to one of the bars at night and you'll see a lot of young people like under 25 or 21, 22 in college. They're throwing down $30 a drink at these places. And when I was that age, I didn't have any money. We were buying like $1 beers at a like crappy bar
absolutely.
downtown.
My Creighton friends out there, you remember the J, Wednesday nights, it was a $3 cover, and then it was $1 you call it. And that's why we went. There's nothing that was great about the J. The bathrooms were gross. We literally went because it was $1 per drink, and that is where I live and die by a cranberry vodka, and I'll never drink it again.
Well, and I think that, yeah, right. So I think that kind of leads us to the real point of this. It's not really about Vegas, but I think that people in general, especially younger people, are fine with spending exorbitant amounts of money on things that used to not cost a lot, but now they do. And now they have incurred a massive amount of debt and they don't even care.
Right. Now I am somebody, and this is a very odd thing. Like I think it comes from my dad kind of instilling it in me. I do not own a debit card. So everything I purchase with a card is on a credit card. And so because of that, I have excellent credit. Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah.
And so does Mark. But I'm also very aware that, you get that bill at the end of the month and you're like, oh, all right.
Yeah, but you got to pay it.
Right. And then because of that, it's kind of like a diet, right? Like you go out and you eat something terrible that you're not kind of supposed to, or you splurge. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I got to have a salad for a couple of days, right? Like I got to reel it back in. And so the week after I go to Vegas, the month after I go to Vegas and I do some shopping and I'm absolutely fine with it, I'm expecting that credit card to come in or that credit card bill. And so, I'm a little more aware of what my purchases are. But that is something that I've learned to do as I've had the income to do it, right? That is not something that I necessarily did when I was 25, 26.
No.
We obviously at the clinic have plenty of youngins that come in. And this is kind of on the topic of Vegas, but the same idea as people spending money is the bachelorette party of people saying, okay, we're going to go to Nashville. We're going to go to Vegas for a bachelorette party. We obviously had a very different experience for our bachelorette party, but the themes, right? Oh, I the number of times I've heard girls in the clinic say, I have to get a pink outfit, or the second night is sequined night, and the third night in Nashville is like Western night, and you're like, you're throwing down like $1,500, $2,000 for a bachelorette party?
Yeah.
Like we had a taxi that took us downtown, and then we ended up going to the casino across the river, and I had to call my dad at 4 a.m. to come pick us up.
Yeah, we put 9 or 10
9 people in a RAV4.
Oh my God.
But good time. I mean, and that was all because, and there wasn't Uber at the time, but how do you have a fun time responsibly and not just like throw down a boatload of money? We probably could have at that time been like, hey,
didn't.
We'll stay. We'll stay in the casino.
We both
right?
had great jobs at the time. Like we were making some money, but we didn't, I don't know. I think like financially, our generation might have been the last conservative generation as far as the money thing. And I think we learned that maybe from our parents and grandparents, but I feel like the new generation is just like throwing, I know college kids with Gucci shoes that mom and dad didn't buy them for them, but they bought themselves.
Right.
No college kid needs a pair of $900 or $1,000 shoes. That's insane. You don't even have a job.
Right.
It would take you what? How many hours for $1,000? If you're working,
I don't want to do the math.
at $11 an hour pre-tax, it would still take you 100 hours.
Yeah.
So post-tax, it's taking you like 150 hours of work to buy a pair of shoes for what? That's going to last a couple of years to like show that you've made it. You haven't made it. You're still in college.
Right.
And you took 150 hours for those shoes.
Right. Well, and there was a bar, and not to make this podcast all about alcohol, but there was a bar that we stopped in Saturday night where we used to go all the time, and then we were like, oh, we were one drink in and out.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That it was overwhelmingly like we were by far the oldest people in that bar, and it was just one of the little bars that's like kind of off the main walkway of the casino as you're walking through the casino. Like I said, we're
at the Cosmo, so the Cosmo is a more expensive hotel anyway.
Right. And we walked in there, we sat down at a table, somebody kind of like looked our direction. We didn't get served right away. We were like, okay, this is fine. Like we'll go up to the bar. We don't expect tableside service because it's way too loud, way too crowded. Stood there and watched quite a few people a decade younger than me, 15 years younger than me, order
decades.
multiple drinks, and
doing
just like,
shots.
Yep. Oh, I have a tab. Oh, I have a tab. Oh, I have a tab.
Shots. I mean, like
we ordered 2 drinks, one each. I got the bill and I was like, oh, we're one and done here.
It's like probably $60.
Yeah.
And you're going to tip on that.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. So,
which tipping culture, that's an entirely different podcast. That is out of control.
Well, I don't know that young people still tip anymore. I have no idea what tipping is on generations, but does it make me old to be like, how are you spending that kind of money? Because I know how much money I make and I know how much young people are making, and it's not the same. And I'm the one complaining about a $12 beer at CHI during a concert.
Right.
Like,
so that parlays into another parallel. There's a establishment here out in West Omaha that we like to go. It's kind of like one of our go-to bars. They have good food. We can go there. We can chill. We can sit back at a booth. Like we love the servers, and we think
the atmosphere is great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Now that being said, we go mostly on Sundays because it's all day happy hour, and I'm very much into that. Like, okay, we go to this bar on this day because it's their deal and that sort of thing. But you
got a problem with your microphone there or what?
She's sinking. She's a little top heavy. Get that. Mm-hmm. But we go specifically because there's happy hour all day, right? We've been on a rare occasion after dinner, we're out with friends, something like that. We go on a Friday night, we go on a Saturday night. There are no deals on these nights, right? And the number of people who are willing to plunk down like $14, $16 for a martini, I'm flabbergasted.
I know. Oh my God.
And that just was not my experience. I'm not even talking about college. I'm talking about like early career where you're like, ooh, okay, so I have my first like real job, but I also move out. I also want to buy like a nicer car. I also want to start getting like nicer things instead of just the hand-me-downs, or, hey, my bookshelf is a couple of plywood boards up on some cinder blocks. Like, let's change that out for some real furniture, that sort of thing. And I guess it never occurred to me. Like, if I went to a bar and it was $4 per beer, I'm like, we can drink at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I get $1.50 beers at home.
I don't know where that mindset came, because that mindset of that slightly younger generation, it doesn't matter if you're talking about Las Vegas or you're talking about Omaha, Nebraska, if you're talking about the East Coast or West Coast, it's everywhere, of that mindset of just like, YOLO.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really true. And I don't have the numbers for you, but I did look it up the other day. Consumer debt is actually through the roof as a percentage of your income. Okay, so that makes sense. Why? Why are people doing it? Is it like social media making people feel like they have to, or they just don't care, or somebody will bail them out? Like, what is it?
Are we just more comfortable with being in debt?
Like, it's just expected. You'll die with debt, I guess.
Now, I will say, and this is not something that Mark can probably lean into the same way that I can, but as a female who absorbs social media, right? Like you are bombarded on social media with like, hey, here's the new styles, here's the new things that you're supposed to be buying for fall, right? Like fall 2024. But then there are influencers who then make money off of you using their codes for things. And so you pay attention to it because you're like, well, okay, I was kind of eyeing that anyway. And now I can get 20% off with this person's code. And so I'll type that in. That's fine. Great. Go make your money, girl. I get it. But what's interesting is that mindset that it's like, oh, it's fall 2024. You need an entirely new wardrobe. And then all of a sudden it's spring 2025. You need an entirely new wardrobe. No, like we got into this just like overconsumption attitude, whether it's alcohol or food or clothing or accessories or things like that. I don't need to buy new jeans every single season.
No. No, I think you're right. I think that it's an overconsumption society now, unfortunately. So we're complaining about Vegas prices, but I think it kind of goes back to people are still paying it. Now, I will say Vegas is not busy like it used to be.
No.
Not at all. 50, 60% of what it used to be. You used to not be able to walk in front of those Bellagio fountains without 1,000 people touching your shoulders, trying to get through. You can walk and you can do a pirouette at any given time on a Saturday night.
And Mark did.
And you're not going to hit somebody. Now, it's not a ghost town, but it's moderately busy, but it's not the insanity that it used to be.
Right. I think one of the biggest things was when you used to stand at the corner to cross the street, right? Like, sometimes you use the walkways, but if you used the street lights to cross, you would amass like a group of 50, 60 people who then would cross together, right? Like Las Vegas Boulevard.
They do have crossing guards now.
They do.
And that's new.
They do. But I mean, the busiest time that we did it on a Saturday night when we walked across the street, there was maybe 15 of us, 20?
At midnight.
Yeah. Which that's an entirely different topic. The fact that we were up at midnight. Shania Twain, you guys did that to us.
Yeah, it was worth it. Mm-hmm. Anywho.
But yeah, just that idea. Now we did do some shopping. We didn't do.
Well, did not.
You were along, so
I was present. I didn't do any shopping. I was actually proud of that.
I'm not proud of it because we had plans. But the amount of people who are just as willing to spend money on food and alcohol and drinks are also the people who are willing to go shopping and spend money, like you were saying, like a $950,000 pair of shoes that function the same way that regular shoes do.
Yeah, and we can do a whole another podcast on are luxury goods worth it. I could talk about that for a long time, and I have my fair share of them. Mm-hmm. But are they worth it? Well, that's another podcast. But
right. And I do think it's fair to say that obviously, and this is not a political statement, but obviously, like we've had some inflation, right? Like the cost of just living is significantly higher. But we're not talking about, something that used to cost $6 now costs $8. We're talking about something that used to cost $6 now costing $26.
Yes.
And
because people will
pay it. Yes. And I think that's the big part of it. And that's the mindset that I just don't currently understand, is that, like Mark said, we know how much we make and we know how much we have to spend each month, right? Like our mortgage, and we pay employees, and we pay buku taxes, and we have cars and gas and things like that. And most people, I think, are very aware of their budget, right? I mean, I'm not saying that everybody's irresponsible by any means, but I think it's that tiny little subset of, okay, well, here's my budget, and then here's my fun money.
Yeah.
And then here's all of these purchases that occur after that.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I just grew up differently. When I go to the gym, I see 18, 19, 20-year-olds wearing Lululemon, right?
Are you looking at 18, 19?
No, I just see that young people are at the gym wearing very expensive clothes. And, when I was growing up, I was wearing like $10 shorts from like Champion and like an old football shirt or something that was like cropped or cut off or whatever. And I wore that for like years. I would have never bought like $100 pair of shorts to go to the gym. Because I made $6 an hour at a bar.
Now, I will say, Mark and I living in West Omaha / Elkhorn is a far cry from where both of us grew up.
For sure.
Right. So
Also
I think
another podcast.
Yeah, I think some of it's that, right? Like
Probably.
for the longest time, yes, I went to the gym in my most comfortable t-shirt and a pair of shorts that I didn't care if got sweaty, and then that was that. And
we had 3 pairs of shoes. One was like a dress shoe, one was like a workout shoe, and the other one was another workout shoe.
Right.
And
or like a comfy, nicer, or the life cycle of tennis shoes, right? Like, oh, those are my nice shoes, and then they go to my gym shoes, and they go to my lawn mowing shoes.
I didn't mow the lawn in college, but
having that background and then knowing that, okay, now living in West Omaha and Elkhorn, like there's a step up from there. It didn't occur to me to dress cute for the gym. So there is that, and I'll give that credit to when I see that. But I also wouldn't have thought, and I'm guilty of this now, but I'm a 42-year-old who owns her own business, and
Whoa.
I'm an elder.
When you say it, it actually really hits hard.
It hurt like a bullet.
You were 25 when I met you.
Thank you. Yeah. Forever and ever ago. But having that, right, like I go and I buy a pair of leggings, let's say Lululemon leggings are $108. And I don't even know if I could price check. I remember when they were $88.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that because those are the ones that I continuously reach for. I don't know how I would feel if I was buying them for a teenage daughter that was going to be in that size for literally like 6 months.
Yeah, and I think things have gone up that don't need to go up. You know, your designer shoes, I won't name names. I bought a pair of designer shoes in 2017, and they were mid 500s, right? That was a lot of money at the time. It was the most expensive pair of shoe I bought in 2017. The same shoe now is almost $1,000.
Right. And I'm pretty sure the wages of the Chinese workers who are making that, it has not gone up exponentially.
And doubled, no. So like, why? Because people will pay it because they want like a status. Is the leather better? No, it's the same. It's all the same. It's good quality, but it's not.
Right.
What went up?
As a consumer of bags and shoes, I will also tell you that there are certain things that companies are phasing out their less expensive options. There's another company that I won't name that's not the same company that you're talking about, that their bags were kind of more traditionally known as like a very...
Yours is a French
specific
company, isn't it?
Yeah, it is French. Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oui, mine's Italian.
Oui. It was made in America for a little bit, though.
I doubt it.
Yeah, it was. I can get into that. But known for kind of coated canvas, monogram type goods. And it became something that was probably somewhat easily attainable by someone who was willing to put a charge on their credit card, right? And the brand decided, much like some of the very high-end brands, that they didn't want it to be so attainable. They wanted to make you work for it a little bit more. And so then they started shifting more towards leather. They started shifting more towards, this is only available in store. You can't just pop online at midnight after you've had a couple of drinks and be like, you know what, I'm going to spend $1,000 for this bag. Now, the bag that I'm talking about, to your point with your shoes, I remember you were standing with me
I was with
in
you.
the kitchen, and I purchased not my first one, but the first one that I had purchased online. And it was $1,100. And I was sick to my stomach. But we're sitting there staring at our bank account and working 60, 70 hours a week. And Mark was my champion. He's like, you do it. You've wanted this forever. Just do it. That same bag is like $2,000 now.
So it's doubled in price.
Exactly.
In what,
the
8 or 9
same
years?
Bag. Right. And now I'll never get rid of it, even though I know that I could make a tidy little profit by selling it. I can't get rid of it because if I ever wanted it again, I'm not paying double for what I paid.
Well, it's nostalgic as well.
Yeah, from the days. It reminds me of our old kitchen.
No,
but
I don't miss it.
I do sometimes. I miss the mortgage payment, and I miss the property payment.
Property tax, yeah. Yeah, we won't talk about that, but I do not miss redoing that backsplash. The 2 by, what was it, like a 3x6, 2x6,
something like
2x4, like subway tile and travertine, and we hand laid every single one together.
And probably the new owners were like, "This is ugly. I'm going to tear this out."
It was really nice, actually. We did a good job with it. There was a lot of weird angles too.
But I mean, that's something else. Is that Now at the time there was even a show, right? Like a DIY show. I think it was called it was on the DIY network.
Yeah.
Renovation Realities.
Yeah, we love that show.
Yes, and we used to watch it on a Saturday night because we had to get up Sunday morning and do our next renovation. I don't feel like, well, I was going to say, I don't feel like the younger generation does that, but then the younger generation also can't afford a house right now.
Yeah, that's a whole nother issue.
And so they're living in an apartment, but maybe they could afford the house if they weren't going out and buying $900 pair of shoes and $60 drinks.
Or $8 coffees every morning.
Right.
I still make my coffee at home. It's cheap. It's good. It's better. A Starbucks is really not good coffee. I don't know why people still buy it.
I mean, I like their Nitro Brew, but we have a drip coffee maker, and the fact that we splurge and we have a Cuisinart instead of a Mr. Coffee. We have the exact same coffee maker at home and we have it work. And
that's so we know how to use it.
Well, and then Sheila, bless her heart, she makes us a fresh pot every morning. And we drink Folgers.
Yeah.
Breakfast blend.
And on the weekends, if I take some
We're
beans
feeling
up and I grind the beans up and we'll do some nice beans.
So I asked, we'll have to have Mark do some, the filler while I look this up. But let me see what a coffee is at Starbucks. Talk about something.
Well, we can talk about how bad the Starbucks coffee actually is.
Well, what drew my attention was that I asked one of my younger patients, what's a coffee? What do you normally get? And she was like, I get a caramel macchiato sometimes, but I mostly get Scooters. And she gets a caramel macchiato, and I was like, what does that cost? And she's like, $6 something. So every single day, you're spending $6 on coffee. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but coffee is not expensive per cup when you price it out.
Well, I think furthermore, when we were young, no one drank coffee at all. That was for old people, and they drank black coffee. Young people never drank coffee in the 90s at all.
Okay, so a grande iced shaken espresso, not espresso, espresso, $5.43
with tax. Oh, and tip.
I don't know.
Okay, so I don't tip.
I don't either.
I don't tip on takeout either.
But yeah, so that's a question that I guess it's just a current head scratcher, I guess, in the economy about what is the mindset of the public right now, I guess, or the consumers when it comes to consuming.
I just don't think they give a you know what. I think
I don't think care. That there's, and maybe that's because everything is so expensive, right? Maybe it's because everything seems like, oh, okay, that's expensive. There's no litmus test. There's no line where you say, okay, that's too much.
Well, and I think it all comes down to wages have gone up a lot for a lot of people, but for not a great reason. And so when wages go up, everything goes up. The cost of everything you buy goes up with that. Mm-hmm. So just making more money alone doesn't solve your problems.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just creates new ones.
Right. So I guess we leave you with that, with no solution.
I don't know what the solution is. We're just ranting about how exorbitantly expensive Vegas. The trip itself was 3 times more expensive than our 2018 variant at the same hotel.
Right. And obviously it's a different time, right? There's less travel, there's less flights.
Their flights are packed.
Yes, gas is expensive, and so airlines are now passing that along and things like that. But even just
3 times more. I don't make 3 times more money than I did in 2018.
I think everybody in healthcare can understand that. Reimbursement's gone down.
Yeah, it's not going up.
So...
Well, if I could change it, I would, but I cannot.
I guess this episode is just a complainer.
Yeah, well, maybe you can complain with us.
If you guys have thoughts, as always, put them in the comment section below if you're watching us on YouTube. Otherwise, we can also be seen ranting about other things.
Yeah, at the clinic. We do it every day.
Clinic in person, our website, CoreOmaha.com, and our social media, Instagram, Core Omaha, and our Facebook page, Core Omaha.
All right.
Mark and Claire.